kids. Giving back to my community where growing justice in a natural way, making a difference every day in the big, big garden. Meet me in the big, big garden.
Welcome to the Big Gardens Spring Farm to School program. My name is Stephanie, and today's lesson is parts of a plant and the plant life cycle. In this lesson, you will learn the different stages of a flowering plant's life cycle, the different parts of a plant and their functions, and lastly, we'll do an activity called the Frankenplant. So let's get started and talk about the beginning of the life cycle of a flowering plant. Life cycle means the different stages that the plant will go through as it grows. So a plant starts out as a seed, then it grows into a small baby plant called a seedling. Then it becomes a mature plant, like an adult kind of. Then it starts to flower. From the flowers, it will produce fruit, and the fruit will produce more seeds. So, let's do a quick activity with our bodies to help us remember the different stages of a plant's life cycle. So first, our plant starts off as a seed. So we're going to bring our arms together and bend down like we're being planted in the ground. And then our roots start to grow and we become a seedling. Next stage is to become a mature plant, hands on our hips. Then we're going to reach towards the sky as we start to produce our flowers. Reach nice and tall. Then we'll put our hands together over our heads because we have started to make our fruit. And our fruit produce our seeds. So we'll lean back down towards the ground as if we're being planted. A plant that goes through that life cycle in one growing season is called an annual. A plant that needs 2 growing seasons to do that full life cycle is called a biennial. And a plant that grows year after year after year, and once it's mature, continues to flower and fruit and seed every year, is called a perennial. So let's try being a perennial plant and growing slowly. So we'll start as a seed again, bend down, and then start to stomp your feet as you make those roots. And stand up slowly and produce your first leaves as a seedling. Maybe take a deep breath here. Then we'll put our hands on our hips as we become a mature plant. When that mature plant is ready, we're going to lift our arms towards the sky and reach, reach, reach for that sun as our flowers begin to open. Then they'll start to produce fruit. So we're going to close our hands together over our heads, making our fruit. And then fruit will produce seeds. So we'll lean forward again down towards the ground and be planted. So the life cycle of a perennial happens year after year. And it normally takes a long time for them to start to become a mature plant, about a couple years. So that's why we took it a little slow. Let's speed it up a little bit. As a biennial plant, that only takes 2 growing seasons to produce its seeds. So let's start it as a seed, bending down to be planted in the soil, stomping our feet as we grow our roots and produce our first leaves as a seedling. Growing, growing, growing to become a mature plant. Then reaching up towards the sky to become our flowers. closing our hands together to make the fruit, and leaning back down towards the ground as we become a seed. Great job. Now I have a challenge for you. Can we pretend to be an annual plant? Can you do all that in one growing season? All right, let's give it a shot. We're going to go pretty fast. Are you ready? All right, let's start down as a seed, being planted in the ground, start growing our roots and producing our first leaves to become a seedling. Then we're very mature and ready to produce our flowers that reach up towards the sky, close our arms to become our fruit, and back down to the ground to be planted as a seed. Good job. Now that we've learned a little bit about the plant life cycle, what annuals, biennials, and perennial plant life cycles are, let's talk a little bit more about the different parts of a plant. Now let's talk about the different parts of a plant. So plants start out as seeds. Seeds contain everything needed to start a new plant growing. Then that plant will produce roots that go deep into the ground. The roots are responsible for taking in water and storing food. Then let's examine the stem of a plant. The stem is really important because it supports the leaves, the flowers, and the fruit, but it also helps to transfer water and nutrients from the roots up to the leaves, fruit, and flowers. The leaves are very important too. They go through a process called photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is a process that uses sunlight and water to produce food for the plant. From there, the plant has flowers. Flowers are a really important part of a flowering plant's life cycle because it will help produce the fruit and the seeds for the plant. Fruit is the fleshy part around a seed. It's the part I like to eat the most. And again, seeds hold all the plant needs to start a new plant growing. So now that we know about a plant life cycle and the function of parts of a plant, let's make a Frankenplant. Using parts of a plant that we eat. Our plants start out as seeds. I'm going to use sunflower seeds as my starting point for my Frankenplant. And I'm going to spread them across almost like it's soil. Now let's add some roots to our Frankenplant. Carrots are root vegetables. They grow underground, and so we're going to use carrots as our roots. And we're going to use radishes. Radishes also grow underground. Now we need our stem. Celery is a plant that we eat. We eat the stem of celery. So I'm going to have that be my stem for my plant. And add some leaves using collard greens. We eat the leaves when we eat collard greens. And before our plant can produce fruit, it's got to make flowers. So I'm going to use broccoli as flowers. Did you know when you eat broccoli, you're actually eating flowers? Every single one of these tiny buds at the top of the broccoli head will grow bigger and turn into a yellow flower when it's ready to produce seeds. So you're actually eating flowers when you eat broccoli. And now for my fruit. I'm going to use peppers. A bell pepper, a nice sweet, yummy bell pepper. So fruits are not just things like apples and peaches. They're anything that has seeds inside it or all around it. So peppers have seeds inside, so they're technically a fruit. And there's my Franken plant. Ah, ha, 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 ha. Let's try making a Franken plant with things that we can find in our pantry too.
Giving back to my community where growing justice in a natural way, making a difference every day in the big, big garden. Meet me in the big, big garden.
And for our roots, we'll use some sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes are grown underground. And so are onions, so that can be another root. And garlic. Then we're going to put our stem down. And I'm going to use cinnamon sticks as my stems because cinnamon is harvested from the bark of a tree. So that will be our stem. And next, I'm going to use bay leaves as my leaves. Bay leaves are used in a lot of stews and soups to add a little flavor and brighten up the flavor of the stew. That's looking cute. Okay. Then for my flowers, I'm going to use chamomile flower. Now, these have been dried. They're used in teas a lot because they help make people feel calm and peaceful, helps some people sleep. It also helps your tummy. So we're going to put some chamomile flowers. I'm going to say my flowers on my Franken plant grow just kind of all over. So there's just going to line all over. Those flowers smell good. For the fruit, we're going to use mandarin oranges, so these canned oranges. And that will be the fruit of my plant. And there you go. A pantry Franken plant.
Meet me in the big, big garden.
Thank you so much for joining me in this lesson about parts of a plant and the plant life cycle. When you're at the grocery store, try to identify some of the foods you see that are the plant parts that we eat. So look out for cabbage and you can say that's the leaves of a plant. Or if you're seeing something in the cereal aisle, that comes from wheat. I hope you join us again. Until then, have a great day.
Big garden.